What's up, y'all? Welcome to today's flexibility routine. Now, today's routine is not going to be for folks who can do splits, who can touch their toes with their head, who are just extremely mobile and flexible. This is a routine for people who hate to stretch, who don't like the feeling of stretching, who don't want to hold poses for long periods of time and shake and sweat and they don't like that feeling, right? But what if I told you that there was another way? What if you didn't have to hold these hamstring stretches for 2 minutes at a time while you're sweating bullets and it's just creating this sort of insane pain sensation behind the back of your leg? What if you could just have things be a little bit more relaxed? Because flexibility is dependent upon your pursuits and whatever tasks that you want to do. Right? So for me, I can squat down low, I can hinge with a flat back, I can do whatever I need to do in order to get into positions that I need to for everyday life, for lifting at the gym, and just for my general purposes. If you are training to be a gymnast, or if you are training to be a dancer or a ballerina, you might need to have the ability to do splits and be really flexible and be really mobile. But if you're just someone who likes to work out, who is physically active, who just wants to move around a little bit and get a little bit looser and a little bit more flexible, you don't have to follow these routines that require a ton of flexibility, like getting your foot behind the back of your head. All you need is a simple routine to get you moving, to get your body comfortable with that feeling, and eventually those mobility gains will come without forcing these really intense, painful stretches on your body. All right. So with that being said, this routine is for you. If you hate stretching, I find that once you follow these stretches and this routine, I feel like that you might actually like to enjoy it because we're kind of putting flexibility in a different lens and addressing it in a different way. All right. So let's get started on your back. And we're gonna go with some breathing, all right? So on your back, knees up, feet down like so. You can do this, right? You got this. Like so, I want you to get your right hand on the lower part of your stomach, your left hand on the upper portion of your chest. Now from here, deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. I try to follow my cadence here. I want you to breathe in slowly. Take about 4 seconds on your inhale and about 4 seconds on your exhale. All right, so we're just trying to down-regulate your system, try to get your system a little bit more relaxed because that's going to help you later on with your mobility gains. Now, as you breathe in, I want you to try to breathe down low towards your stomach, towards that right hand on your stomach. So if you do it right, you should inhale, and that right hand should slowly rise up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, that right hand should slowly come back down. All right, so if you've been stuck in Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting, or maybe you're going to work and you're coming back and you've been through a long commute and it's been a long day, it's been stressful, and you're just in this sort of high-strung state, your body's not going to accept any mobility gains or stretches that you try to force your way into. By starting off with some breathing, we're able to get your body in a more relaxed state, in a better position to be able to accept these mobility gains. All right, awesome. You should feel much better already. Now we're just gonna get your legs straight and we're gonna hug one knee in tightly towards your chest. All right, so while this knee is tucked in tightly, I want you to extend this down leg as far as you can, all right? So we're getting some flexion in this top hip and extension in the bottom hip, all right? So just some deep, relaxed breaths, similarly to the drill that we did before. You're just staying as relaxed as you can as you get those hips flexed. We'll hold this for about 15 more seconds. Awesome work. All right, now from there, I want you to get this knee at about 90 degrees. In this 90-90 position, well, let me bring my leg back down, right over here. And then from there, hold on to your leg. And all I want you to do is extend it as high up as you can and then bring it back down. All right, so we're not holding it, nothing intense, just touch that sort of stretch tolerance area for about a couple seconds and then bring it back down. All right. And you'll notice with me too, I'm not flexible, right? I can get my leg decently high, but I can still deadlift with the flat back. I can still squat down low. This is all I really need. And just enough attention to this area just to maintain this sort of mobility is all I'm really looking for. I don't need to force myself to get all the way back where I'm just basically touching the top of my thigh with my nose. All right, and let's switch sides. We're gonna start off with that knee hug again. So flex that knee in tight. That bottom leg should be really extended out. And just again, some deep relaxed breaths before we get into our little hamstring mobilization there. Awesome work. We're going to hold for about 15 more seconds. Now, a lot of people like to talk about hip extension and stretching out their hip flexors, but hip flexion is also important too. And the primary reason is because a lot of people, when you're sitting down in a car or a chair, you're in this sort of 90-degree position, you're never really getting that hip to its full potential all the way to full flexion here. It's rare. So it just helps to get a little bit of added attention to this area while we're down here. All right, now let's get back to that 90-90 position that I was talking about before. And then from here, grab your thigh. I want you to lengthen it out like we did before. Hold for a couple seconds and bring it back down. And bring it up. Get to that stretch tolerance, hold for a couple seconds, and bring it back down. And now this isn't a competition, right? So I don't want you to force yourself and start holding your breath and really ache and strain. Just get to a point that feels like a good stretch. Hold for 2 seconds in a relaxed state, not tensing up anything, not tensing your face up, and just bring it right back down, all right? And this just sort of coaxes your body into achieving a little bit more range of motion as you do this routine and this stretch more and more often. We'll get one more and we'll get into a glute bridge. All right, now we're gonna get into a glute bridge position. So I want your heels close towards your hips. And what I want you to do is get your hands right on your rib cage right here, this bony part. And what I want you to do is arch your rib cage, arch your lower back off the floor. And then we're gonna do the opposite. Push your rib cage, push your lower back down towards the floor while breathing out. One more time. Inhale, arch up. And exhale, push everything down. All right, now hold this bottom position here with your ribs down, your lower back down towards the floor. And now bridge your hips up towards the ceiling, squeezing your glutes tightly together, and hold that for 5 seconds. With this pose, we're not only getting some glute engagement, but we're also getting a lot of good hip extension benefits along the front side of the body here. All right, so hold for 5 seconds and bring it back down. And come on up, hold for 5 seconds. And the big thing that you'll notice is we didn't just go right into glute bridging, and we're not trying to go as high as you can. We're trying to get as high as you can, but without letting your lower back arch. All right, come back down and back up. And we're doing that by getting the rib cage down, getting your rib cage connected to your pelvis, and that gets the abs engaged, the glutes engaged, without letting the lower back take over. All right, we're gonna get a couple more here before we move on to the next mobilization. Last one. If you're feeling like your hamstrings are cramping up a little bit, just pull those heels closer towards your hips, bridge up, and also push your knees slightly further to the outsides. And you might feel those glutes get a little bit more involved. Awesome. Okay, now we're gonna flip over onto your stomach and we're gonna go into a Cobra Pose. But before we do so, let's just hang out right here. All right, so in this sort of Sphinx pose, say that 5 times fast, get that chest up tall, deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and we're just getting some extension throughout the entire front of the body. This part of the body is so flexed over, hunched over, on the computer, on a bike, in a chair, and so it helps to get some extension throughout the day. All right, now if you feel okay here, you can go with the full Cobra Pose by coming down and pressing yourself up tall, okay? Now even here, you can modify as you see fit, so you don't have to go all the way with straight arms. You can go maybe halfway, bent arms, and then bring it back down. So with all these stretches, the more you force it and the more you start to strain, the less likely your body's going to accept those gains. So it's all about coaxing and slowly mobilizing into these ranges of motion, but signaling to your brain and to your body, I've got this. This is not a painful range of motion, and it's okay to go here. Awesome work. And with these Cobras as well, you can hold this position, or you can do reps like I'm doing here. Whatever feels best for you. Awesome work. Next, let's get into your neck. So we're gonna sit down like so, and we're just gonna get some slow flexion, where you tap your chin into your collarbone, or as close as you can, and then you extend back into an extension, where you look up towards the ceiling, try to get your eyes, your chin up towards the ceiling. We're just gonna cycle back and forth. Again, the neck, one of those areas that isn't really addressed or talked about too often, but basically we've designed our lives where we look straight ahead in one direction almost at all times, right? So even when we're driving, we have rear view mirrors, we have side mirrors, we have everything possible so that we avoid rotation at the spine and at the neck. And it just helps to get some range of motion there. All right, next, from there, all we're gonna do is grab the top of your head and bring it over towards your left, and we're gonna get a good stretch along the right side of that neck. Just relaxing. Deep breaths again, relaxed, not forcing anything. It also helps as you're doing this stretch to try to keep this shoulder down. So you don't want to flex and rotate towards that side, but keep it down away from the side you're stretching. All right, and slowly switch sides. Y'all are doing great. I know you're probably thinking, hey, you know what? I can do this. Stretching doesn't have to suck. And I think you'll find that the more you like it, the more you'll actually do it, and the more flexibility gains you'll actually experience because you're doing it more, practicing it more, and also enjoying it more. Awesome work. And then from there, we're gonna get on all fours. All right, so right here, chest is up tall, you're looking straight ahead. This part is important, get that chest up tall. And then I want you to rock back towards your heels and then come all the way forward. All right, so back and forth. Now this one won't feel quite too significant. It's more just about general mobility throughout the hips without letting your lower back round over. But definitely trust that you're getting a lot of benefit by practicing this drill. And it's also just a nice feel-good relaxation drill as well. For those of you who are even more flexible in this range of motion, you can untuck the toes and come all the way back, and you'll be able to get some more range of motion. Or some of you might have the mobility, but you want to work on your big toe extensibility, and you can keep those toes tucked as well. All right, so a number of different modifications that you can make, and none of them is right or wrong. They're all just tools for you to explore different mobility avenues. All right, next, I want you to bring those knees out wider, drop down towards your forearms, and we're gonna do what's known as a wide stance rock on your forearms. Now I want you to rock all the way forward, keep that chest tall and proud, and rock all the way back. Again, keep that chest tall and proud. We're just gonna go back and forth in this range of motion here, and you'll get the inner thighs involved, even some shoulders, some shoulder stabilizers will kick on here. This is a great one for deep squats and just overall loosening up the hips. Nice work. We'll get one more. Great. All right, cool. Now from there, we're gonna get into this 90-90 position. All right, so we've got 90 degrees on the front leg, 90 on the back leg, and for now, I just want you to get your hands down on the floor. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna rotate and switch to the other side. So 90-90 on the other side, all right? So we're getting some good hip mobility benefits on both legs, all right? So do your best, stay in the same spot as you rotate. And now this time, I want you to really turn towards your front leg, all right? Rather than staying square. And then switch sides, turn towards that front leg. Nice work. All right, rotate. This time, turn towards the front leg and lean forward with the tall, proud chest. Nice, you're getting some good hip external rotator slash glute benefits there. Switch sides, turn over that front leg and hinge forward with the flat back by keeping that chest up tall. Nice job. And switch sides. Don't worry if this one feels awkward at all. The more you start to revisit this one, the better it'll start to feel. And you'll start to notice some pretty big benefits here as well. It's just a good, feel good, catch-all type of drill. Nice work. All right, last one here. Perfect. Okay, next, we're gonna get into a kneeling position, right? And I want you to get this front leg, swing it off to the side like so, all right? So we've got 90-degree angles everywhere. 90 here, 90 in the back leg, just 90 degrees, all right? Now get your right hand, let's say if your left leg is swung off to the side, get your right hand, place it down on the floor in front of your right knee. I want you to get this free arm now, reach it through this space between your knee and your arm, and then bring it up towards the ceiling while breathing out. This is a fantastic one for your upper back, for your chest, for your shoulders. Just feels great. All right, I'll show you from this side as well, just so you get a different angle. And again, same concepts, right? We're trying to get some deep, relaxed breaths. We're not forcing anything. Trying to coax these mobility gains, these flexibility gains into your system and not forcing the issue. Awesome job. Okay, now we're gonna switch sides. All right, so this time, my other knee is forward. I'm gonna swing it off to the side. I'm gonna place my hand down, and then my free hand is gonna go through this open space, thread this needle, and then bring it up towards the ceiling. And it helps for this one to point this thumb backwards because it helps you to open up more. If that hand is closed off, it's going to rotate everything inward. So open it back up in order to get even a little bit of a deeper stretch. We'll get a couple more. Awesome work. All right. Now we're going to go into some downward dogs, all right? Now I know a lot of you probably don't have great downward dogs, myself included, so I'm going to tell you how to modify it in order to meet yourself where you're at, all right? So when you're going into your downward dog, I want you to bend your knees more and think about really pushing with your arms back so that your hips go up high and you're able to sneak your chest and head through your arms. But you're not restricted by your hamstring flexibility here, which is a lot of people's weakest link in this pose if they have struggles with it. All right, bring it back to a push-up position. Again, allow those knees to bend a little bit as you push yourself back, pushing your chest and head through your arms. All right, now from here, if you're okay with it, come all the way forward again and have slightly straighter legs. All right, and just explore and experiment and figure out what works best for you. Some of you might have great downward dogs. You're able to do this with your legs locked out. That's awesome too. Now you can also pedal. You can kind of go shift your weight side to side and try to lengthen out and straighten out that leg. And it's going to be a lot more comfortable, and you're able to do it with a little bit more freedom than you were if you were locked together, hip width apart. All right, so shifting side to side can sneak a little bit more range of motion. All right, get a couple more here. And last one. Awesome job. Okay. Next, we're going to go into a hip flexor pose. What we're going to do is get into a 90-90 position. And you can have your back toes tucked or you can have them untucked. And what you're going to try to do is you're going to try to tuck your pelvis as much as you can, and you're going to try to squeeze the glute of that down leg. All right? Now both hands on your knees and get up nice and tall and long, and I want you to lean forward. All right? And what you're going to feel is a good hip flexor stretch along the front of that thigh. The more you open up like this and arch your lower back, the more you're going to take pressure off of that hip flexor. And what we want is a little bit more of a localized effect. All right, so just hold this position here. We're going to hold it for about 40 more seconds and just some deep breaths. And this one's going to feel great for those of you who have been sitting at home for long periods of time or at work or in your office. Just a great way to loosen up that back hip flexor here. All right, and if you don't feel an intense stretch, that's okay. You're just getting the opposite of what a lot of people tend to spend most of their time in. All right, so it doesn't need to feel like this aggressive hip flexor lengthening stretch, all right, in order to get the benefit. All right, now let's switch sides. We're almost there. We've got this side and then one more stretch and then we're all set. All right, just remember, tuck the pelvis, tuck the hips under and come forward. All right, while staying upright. We like hands on the knees because it helps you to keep your rib cage connected to your pelvis and prevents you from arching. All right, so we don't necessarily like as much for the localized hip flexor stretches to do something like this or hands by the hips, just right here. And it's also a lot more comfortable as well. All right, so just hold that position, hold that posture. Awesome work. All right, last one here. We're gonna get into what's called a Spiderman lunge with a rotation. I want you to get into a push-up position we're gonna get your left foot as close to the outside of your left hand as you can, all right? Now, it doesn't have to go all the way up high. It can be a little bit further back, that's totally fine. Or if you want, you can also grab onto a box of some sort to help limit that range of motion, all right? But what you're gonna do is you're gonna lower that left forearm down towards the floor and then reach that arm up towards the ceiling, pointing that thumb back, just like that original chest opener that we did a couple stretches ago. Bring it back down, bring that foot back down. Let's switch sides. So right foot forward, drop that right forearm towards the floor, and reach up towards the ceiling, pointing that thumb back. Again, another great catch-all drill for your hip flexors, your hips, inner thighs, chest, shoulders. Really a fantastic drill, especially if you're about to go on a run or play some sports or whatever, and you can't really lay on your back on the floor or you can't sit down. This is one where you can just kind of pop down, do a few on each side, and you have at least covered most of your bases. Nice work. Keep on switching at your own pace. You might want to hold different areas for longer periods of time. Feel free to do that. I'm just going to go at an even pace. All right, last ones on each side here. This is probably the toughest part of the workout right here. Just holding this pose and getting into this long, elongated position. All right, last one. Awesome work. All right, and now you're all done. So you should feel a lot looser, a lot more flexible, without necessarily having to explore these sort of extremely painful ranges of motion for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes at a time. It's all about just coaxing these mobility gains into your system, not forcing it, not fighting it, not overcranking, and just doing this consistently, all right? So as long as you do mobility, movement training, even lifting with full ranges of motion, you're gonna get those mobility gains and flexibility gains that you're looking for. But if you are, let's say, a gymnast or a dancer, you might want to seek additional supplemental flexibility training. But for the vast majority of people, this is really mostly what you need. All right, so hope this helped you out. And until next time, sweat out, happiness in.